What's going on, Falcon fan? This your boy, Ricardo, coming back at you with another video. Today we're going to talk about week 2 keys to victory. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. Guys, we was, not really, didn't really like what we saw on Sunday. But there was a lot of things that I thought could be fixed. In fact, missed a lot of opportunities where they have opportunity to kind of rectify that today. They're going up against a really good Minnesota Vikings team that, well, if you looked at the first 3 quarters of that game against Chicago Bears, you would say, okay, it's going to be easy. But then the fourth quarter came around, and the offense for the Minnesota Vikings really started to get to going with their young quarterback and JJ McCarthy. Also, you gotta like the way their defense was able to hold up for them guys and make sure that kept them in the game while their offense kind of figured it out. But tip your hat off to what JJ McCarthy was able to do, because he definitely was able to, have some adversity during that game, then was able to come back, and look really good. So the Atlanta Falcons do have their hands full today. I think Kevin McConnell is, the head coach for the Minnesota Vikings, is really, really good, is working with quarterbacks and getting those guys to play, very well. Look at what he was able to do with Kirk Cousins. Sam Darnold was able to, to get himself a big contract now. Just being one game, of course, but you like what you saw from JJ McCarthy, particularly in that fourth quarter. So, guys, we're going to talk about that today. With that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button. So I know you guys are here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come here to talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. All right, so let's get into some of the keys today for our team. And it's early in the season, so a lot of times when we start talking about keys and things like that, it really boils down to what the Atlanta Falcons can fix from what they've seen from game 1 to game 2. A lot of people want to go back and say if they played in the preseasons, but like I said, I keep saying preseason, there's no schematics going on. It's just guys getting out there, getting rhythms, getting the feel for everything. And honestly, to be really honest with you, the only thing I think it does kind of help the guys get back in football shape before the season starts. So if it anything, that's in my opinion that you can take away from the Atlanta Falcons not playing the preseason is the fact that, because if you look at the injury report, it was kind of long there. A lot of guys were limited in practice. So it's gonna be interesting to see who's going to get to go, but we'll just have to find out, and that's where it's all about. So, however, let's go ahead and get to the first key. I always start offensive side of the ball. Of course, my offensive keys this week, it's going to be simply what we could not do last week, and that's run the ball. We got to be able to run the ball. That this is a running team for the Atlanta Falcons. You got 2 outstanding backs, but everything that we do, even good passing game, is predicated off being able to run the ball. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did a really great job of stopping the Atlanta Falcons running the ball. A lot of people want to contribute not having Caleb McGarry there, but I think if you look at the offensive line play, the tight end play, the receivers play, I don't think nobody actually did a really good job in that game of getting the running game going. So I you kind of figure those guys are going to be hungry to get that bad taste out their mouth. This is one of the better rushing teams over the last 4 years, right? So you expect them to get it going, but that's got to be the first key for this Atlanta Falcons team. And plus, if you're playing a really good Brian Flores defense, you want to be able to keep them on their toes and don't become one-dimensional, because if you become one-dimensional, it won't bode well for our offense. So the ball needs to be run well, and that will open up everything. Our play action game, play action pass, be able to control the clock, get better situational football on short yardage and things like that. Just more advantageous stuff for Atlanta Falcons if they can run the ball. So that would be definitely my first key for Atlanta Falcons on the offense side of the ball. My second key is kind of interesting, and really, based off the way Brian Flores like to disguise things and how he kind of put everybody up there, then you don't know who's coming from a pressure standpoint. You want to have a good plan, right? Protection plan for your young quarterback and Michael Penix Jr., right? Um, we played a really good defensive coordinator last week in Brian Bowles, and we're going right back and play a really good defensive coordinator in Brian Flores, right? You got Javon Hargrave coming in. You got Allen coming over. Two guys that was not with the Minnesota Vikings last year when Atlanta Falcons played them. So it's gonna be interesting to see, um, the protection plan for the Atlanta Falcons going in. That's got to be key for this team. If they can be able to do that, I think that's going to bode well for them. So have a good protection. Michael Penix Jr. Now, Michael Penix Jr. he did really good against the blitz last week. So hopefully he can continue that. Going into his fifth game, he only played 4 games, guys. Let's just remember that. So he still is getting into what NFL football is all about. But these coaches, knowing they're playing against a young quarterback, is trying to throw the kitchen sink at him. And so far, he's been passing, with flying colors. So let's see if he's good. What's going on, T. Terry? So let's see what the protection plan is for Michael Penix, going up against Brian Flores defense. And then, and we'll see what happens. But Brian Flores, he does a lot of different things with that defense. If you go back and look at what he was able to do with the Chicago Bears to get Caleb Williams out his spot. Now I happen to believe that I think Michael Penix is a little bit more poised than Caleb Williams. So we just look what he was able to do in week 1 against the blitz, against Todd Bowles pressure. I think it's going to bode well. But however, the plan needs to be good. And go back to my first key is being able to run the ball. If they be able to run the ball, I think the protection plan, the pass protection plan, would be a whole lot better for them. And then my last key is third down, right? That's probably one of the most important downs in NFL in football, right? You look at the third down percentages for a lot of teams, it kind of tell you, the success of a team, right? We played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. Last year they was like number 1 in third down percentage, and that's why they probably was able to win the division, right? So you look at the success on third down. I think that's key. Of course, first and second down is so important because you want to be able to get into a good third down and down the distance. But being good on third down, having a good third down percentage, at least being over 45%, is where the Atlanta Falcons need to find themselves in this game, going into the hostile environment for the offense. So you're looking at my first keys on offense. You better be able to run the ball, have a really good pass protection plan for Michael Penix Jr., and you want to be good on third down. Some good things we did hear today that Drake London and Darnell Mooney will be playing in this game, so that is really good. You got number 1 and number 2 receivers back on the field. You like what you was able to see from Kyle Pitts. Look like Casey Washington might be out with a concussion protocol, so we don't know his status. But you like what you're seeing from Ray McCall as well. I think the biggest thing is Charlie Warner needs to play better this week, right? Like we talked about the running game. He's really instrumental the way the Atlanta Falcons like to run the ball. So Charlie Warner guys definitely have a bigger game. But on the offensive side of the ball, I think if the Atlanta Falcons can control the ball, control the clock, it would be really good for them. So guys, let me know what you think about my offensive keys this week. Run the ball, have a good protection plan, and good on third down. All right, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Defense side of the ball. I was really impressed what I seen from the Minnesota Vikings to the running back. I thought Mason was really, really, really good. Of course, they got the former All Pro there, starting the game. So both of those guys, we need to be able to stop the run, right? That's the key thing for the Atlanta Falcons. You don't want to be able to have them to be able to be versatile on offense. You want to try to make them one-dimensional, and we want to try to put the pressure on the young quarterback ourselves. He's just in his second start, in the Minnesota Viking uniform. So we want to be able to try to put pressure on JJ McCarthy. So being able to stop the run would definitely help you. That you want to be able to get into the third and longs and be able to do the things we need to do. with that being said, once you do get into those third and longs, I think the second key is contain the quarterback. Atlanta Falcons was really not good in doing that last week against Baker Mayfield. I think he had 3 first downs rushing the ball, it's particularly on third down. So, like we just talked about, that is the money down for teams. So you got to get up the field on third down. It's just that simple. But Atlanta Falcons just didn't do it enough last week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers once again 50% on third down. So that's the point I'm making. We got to be better on third down. And in this case, we got to be able to contain the quarterback. Jay McCarthy is a athletic quarterback. You look see what he was able to do that last touchdown they scored against Chicago Bears. But we got to be able to contain him, keep him in the pocket, make him a passer. Get him off his spot, of course, but we want to be able to make him make mistakes. That's one of the things we got to be able to do. So contain the quarterback. Going back, my third point, and I think the third point is going off what happened last year, and that is no explosive plays. Atlanta Falcons gave up too many explosive plays last year against this Minnesota Viking team, which was really the turning point in the game. Besides the 2 interceptions that Kirk Cousins threw, but at the same time, we just let those guys go off on us and with the explosive plays. So we need to be more disciplined in the backfield. Jesse Bates, we heard him say that he had a couple mistakes in the game, and you just got to be where you're supposed to be and do your job. And if you do that, I think most things going to work out for this team. But the explosive plays, we definitely got limited. We can't have explosive plays like we had in that last game. We just can't not do it. It's a killer, and that's something that we don't want to have. And then we got to capitalize on our ops, man. That's one of the things that we did not do. We probably had maybe at the most about 4 interceptions that was in the Atlanta Falcons' hand, and they just were not able to catch the ball. They got to take advantage of those. If you just make one of those plays, you probably have a different outcome in the game. So you got to capitalize when you have opportunity to get turnovers, get the ball back to your offense, and they was not able to do that last week. So that's going to really be important for this Atlanta Falcons team, and if they can do that, I think Sunday Night Football you can get the Atlanta Falcons, get in the win column, and get to 1-1, right? So on the defense side of the ball, they got to stop the run, they got to contain the quarterback. Just things that we've seen in this last game, right? I think they was really good at stopping the run. They only gave up about 50-some yards to the running back. Of course, we let Baker get out. So that's why my second key is contain the quarterback, right? And don't give up any explosive. If they're going to beat us, they're going to have to drive the ball out of the field. Make the young quarterback, be poised and drive the field. Don't give up big plays. And then we got to take advantage of those ops, man. We just got to take advantage of the ops. We got when you got a chance to get the ball, got a chance to get a sack, you got to be able to take advantage of those and get the job done. All right. Let's go to the worst part of what happened to the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday was special team. Special team was not good in the kicking game at all. They gave up 2 big runs to the returner, and it won't be a slouch this week. The young man that's returning the balls for the Minnesota Vikings running a 4.43. It's a little smaller stature, so he can kind of get lost out there. So we got to make sure that they really is homing in on trying to make sure they stop the returner for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not sure his name. Somebody knows his name? Let me know. I keep calling him returner, but he was explosive. He make big plays. So Atlanta Falcons need to be really disciplined in their return in their lanes this week. Make sure we don't give up any big returns. We just can't have that kind of leakage in the return game. We just can't have it. So hopefully that won't be the case. Hopefully we won't have to see any of the things like that. And then the biggest thing for me is we need to see confidence in the kicking game, right? I'm talking about particularly field goals. Whoever the Atlanta Falcons decide to go with, is it cool? We need to see his confidence back. I mean, this is one that a couple of years ago he was the most accurate kicker in NFL history. Look at his accuracy that he displayed. But as of late, that is no longer the case. We talked about he 10 kicks that he have dropped. So It's not good at all. So the confidence that we want to see in the kicking game is really important. We got to see some confidence in the Atlanta Falcons kicking game. So um, that's what we want to see. Special teams, people, don't look at it as something that's huge, but the guys that play on special teams is important. They play a big role on what they want the Atlanta Falcons to be able to do. So that's some of the things that we definitely got to look at. So special teams is important. Special teams is important. So guys, quick rundown of what we're going to talk. What I was talking about today was the offensive side of the ball. You want to be able to run the ball. You want to be able to have a good protection plan for for your quarterback, and then you want to be really good on third down. That's the key on the road. Being able to do that, stay on the field, control the clock, run the ball, and protect your quarterback. Right? If we be able to do that, of course, all the other things, don't turn over the ball, penalties, stuff like that. But those are my three keys. On the defense side of the ball, you want to be able to stop the run, contain the quarterback. You want to be able to limit the explosive plays and take advantage of the opportunities that you got. When you got a chance to get a sack, you got a chance to get a fumble or interception. Take advantage of all those things. And then on the special teams, no explosive plays. Um, in the return game. None. Let's limit that, right? We cannot have leakage on the return on their return game, and then we got to gain our confidence back. I don't know about you guys, but I have no confidence in Young Wei Koo right now. If he's going to be the guy, he got to kind of give us that confidence back. Go out and make kick with confidence, right? You can't be banging your extra points off the goalpost and then missing as bad as he missed that kick the other night. 44 yarder. I mean, 44 yarder used to be like, oh man, I don't know if he can get it. Now 44 yarder is like a chip shot. It just is. These guys are making kicks from 50, 60 some yards. So 44 yarder should be really easy, especially you playing in a dome with no wind. It should be no excuse not to make those kicks. And if you don't have your confidence, you probably can't be the kicker that you need to be. Cherry said, "Who do JJ remind you of? Riconda, he remind me of a young Tom Brady, JJ McCarthy. That's wow. I don't know, man. I got to see him play more, um, because he only played one game, and he remind me of just the first half. The first half for the Vikings, he remind me of a young Sam Darnold. he was like seeing ghosts, man. They was getting after him. So honestly, but yeah, he looked really solid in that second half, man. And you got to tip your head off to Kevin O'Connell, man. That guy really know how to get his young quarterbacks ready. But let's be honest, we talking about Michael Penix's youth and not playing so much. I mean, JJ McCarthy just playing in his second game, so I think you know Jeff Ulbrich has to take advantage of a guy just getting his second start in the NFL. I really believe he has to take advantage of that. Looking at the injury report of some of those guys, it's going to be out. The Atlanta Falcons need to take advantage of this game, right? And um, we cannot end up coming out being flat this week. So let's see, can we get it done? But yeah, I'm not going to put that much praise on JJ McCarthy, not just yet, right? He had one good quarter in the game. It was really good though. This I'm being honest, it was really good, but um, we got to see what the Atlanta Falcons going to be able to do. So the last thing I'm going to talk about today, guys, is just the fact that you know you don't need to have any panic as of yet, right? It was a lot of good things in the Tampa Bay game where they can actually take those and grow from it, right? If you take away the you know getting out your lanes and not being able to contain Baker Mayfield, you would say the Atlanta Falcons did a really good job holding that Tampa Bay offense to 260 total yards, right? That's one of the things that you like, wow, 260 total yards. You'll take that recipe all week long. So looking at that, you look at the number of pressures the Atlanta Falcons was able to generate. They was third overall in the NFL at 40%. That's really really good. Like so, you get to see some of the things there. You love the young secondary, the way both of those guys played, and Billy Bowman and Xavier Watts. Feel like you got a couple of future ballers back there, right? Um, when payday comes, it's gonna be tough, but at this point, you like what you got from those youth. AJ Terrell was really good in this game. Sometimes it goes unnoticed because you don't get to hear their name or anything like that. But he was really good. He has a really big task this week, shadowing Justin Jefferson. So let's hope that's the game plan. Follow that guy all around, and try to shut him down. But you know, the biggest thing that we don't need to do, we don't need to panic, right? We love some of the things we've seen. I think the main thing that we all like what we saw, and I don't think nobody will argue this point, is that Michael Penix Jr. was really good, right? Right, and a lot of people felt like if he had any help, in the game, the outcome would have been better. I think Bijan is in full already in full season mode, right? 100 all-purpose yards. Once again, that's what he does. But we definitely got to get him going in the running game. Tyler Algier, looked like he didn't skip a beat as well. But we got to see more of both of those guys. So Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson is going to be huge. But and then last, you love what you saw from Kyle Pitts, right? If we can get production like that from Kyle Pitts every week, you're gonna like what you see, right? He utilizes athleticism, being able to catch the ball and then throw a stiff arm when a guy's standing in front of you. You usually see stiff arm on the side, but Kyle Pitts was able to use stiff arm, guy standing in front of him, and, push him off to get a first down. And then that last drive when Drake was out, Kyle Pitts put him on his back, and he made a lot of crucial plays in that drive to keep the drive going, again, Atlanta Falcons opportunity to tie the game. So, um, I just think it was so many positives from the Tampa Bay game. No time to panic yet. Now you got to start, putting some wins on the board, because it don't matter how good you look and how much progress you're making. You got to start capitalize on these winning games. I go back to some of what I said in the last video, and that was winning in the margins. I think that's going to be important for this team, right? Like I talked about capitalizing on your opportunities that you have. You got to be able to do that, right? When you get a chance to get a quarterback on the ground, you need to do that. If you can get the ball out, do that, right? If he happened to throw the ball to you and it hits you in the hands, you got to bring it in. So those are kind of things that we want to see from this team, things that you can grow on, because a lot of those guys was in the right spot. It just was not able to make the plays. Talking about sacks, we're talking about interception, things like that. But you got to execute, right? Got to win in the margins. It's hard to win in this league, right? So just don't know what's gonna happen, right? And you gotta play, 60 minutes. If anybody should know that, it should be our Atlanta Falcons, right? You can't start to celebrate when the fourth quarter comes, and maybe that's what happened to the Chicago Bears. They might have got complacent, we got this in the bag, and then they kind of let up a little bit. We don't know, but for some reason you got to be able to, make sure that you be locked in for a whole entire 60 minutes. T. Terry says Falcons should bring in Nate Carter on special teams. They might just do that because if you're looking at what happened to Jamal Agnew, which at this point, man, Jamal Agnew was hurt all training camp. He got hurt in the first game, so they should just go and cut bait, man, because he's not gonna be helped. That's the only thing he does is return kicks, and he already hurt. But so your point about bringing Nate Carter in, they might actually elevate him. Well, no, he's already He's already on the active roster, so they might actually have him active this week, because Jamal Agnew is going to be out. So you might actually get to see Nate Carter this week, but we got to be able to use, that speed that we got from him, that explosiveness to be seen. What's going on, Wallace? Long time no see, man. But those are some of the things that kind of alleviate us as fans and the team themselves for not going in panic mode because we 0-1. So a lot of teams 0-1. I think the key is not to go 0-2, right? So that's where we need to have our focus on. Forget about last week's game. There's a lot of good from it, and we and a lot of bad. If you go back to my video we had on Monday when I talked about, I think play calling needs to be a little bit better from Zach Robinson. We heard from him, um, and be honest with you guys, maybe it wasn't so much play calling. It's just the fact that the Atlanta Falcons offensive line did not execute like they should have in that game, and Michael Penix just put him on his back. That's really what it's been like. That's what it's been about. It seems like the offensive line didn't play well in the running game. Um, Michael Penix was pressured a lot in that game, but he played. It didn't phase him, right? You can tell that he has played a lot of football, um, and his confidence was just out there pouring. The one thing about Michael Penix is that he's a gamer, man. This guy, um, he built for these moments. And if you look at the the 4 games he had played, um, the moments where he looks the best is those pressure point moments. That's when you really see Michael Penix lock in and play really well, right? A lot of people don't want to see him stretching that much, his arm out to get first downs, because if you guys recall, Indiana, that's how he got injured. So you might want to kind of reframe that. I get it, man. Go out and play. He's playing with no fear, going out and giving it his all. But just be careful, man. We don't want you to get hurt. That's one of the main things. But um, Michael Penix played well. Michael Penix, what's going on? J Black 42. So yeah, man, don't panic. This just 0-1. We got to try to get this win this week. Atlanta Falcons got a good opportunity to, right? Going up against a quarterback just playing his second game. I know it's a hostile environment. It's Minnesota. The Atlanta Falcons have not won but one time, and I think in the last 6 outings against the Minnesota Vikings, right? You guys called a couple of years ago when Josh Dobbs came in 3 days before the game and ran all over us, right? Go back to my second key on defense, contain the quarterback. So that's got to be something that the Atlanta Falcons, we can't have that leakage, not being able to get to the quarterback. So that's going to be huge. T. Terry says the new kicker was talking like he's going to play. He really did. I'm interested to see what happens here with that. They might make Koo inactive, man. Look, elevate the kicker and see what he can do. So we're definitely going to see. Oh man, Koo. I think Koo looked like his confidence shot, man. He was talking about turf and the way the turf, he was kicking the turf and all that stuff, man. You got to get out your head, bro. You've been kicking in this league too long to be thinking about things like that. And 44-yard is the chip shot nowadays. I mean, the extra point is 35 yards, so it's only 9 extra yards, man. You got to be able to deliver that. I'm sorry, there's no excuse for not making a 44-yard field goal at home in a dome. It shouldn't be an excuse for that. So the new kicker might actually get to go. You might be right about that. You might be right about that. All right, guys. I'm just gonna leave you with this. I expect to see a lot of Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson this game. I think that should be the key. I think that the offensive line was embarrassed about the performance they gave on Sunday, and I think they're gonna come out with some vengeance. Now, keep in mind the Minnesota Vikings do have 2 new faces on that defensive front, and Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, right? Because Atlanta Falcons ran the ball really well against the Minnesota Vikings last season, but once again, they got new faces on there. And like I said, Brian Flores is a really savvy defense coordinator, and he's going to try to give Michael Penix some confusion out there to see if he can make a mistake. That's what he's trying to do. But be ready to see Bijan Robinson. Be ready to see Tyler Algier. Let's see Darnell Mooney back for the first time since before the next to the last game of the season. That Commanders game, right? Let's see if he can come back. Make sure Drake is healthy. I think Drake could play a better game as well. So um, I think we're going to see a better turnout. Um, the first game out the way, just like last season. Come back and on a Sunday night football game. Last night was Monday night. This week this year is Sunday night, right? And everybody want to see the electrifying Michael Penix, you know, his throwing prowess and things like that going up against JJ McCarthy's rematch of quarterbacks in the national championship game, right? And let's hopefully we got a better outcome for Michael Penix than he got in that last game. So guys, let me know what you think about my keys to victory this week. Let me know what you think about your prediction for the outcome of this game. And so I will put a score on it. I want to say, um, let's say 24-21 Atlanta this week. Um, Close games, guys. The Falcons been in so many one-score games, and I think it won't be any different this week. So let me know what you think about that. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.